Welcome to Rainbow Soul Podcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and LeKross's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at rainbowsoul.show.
Hello, Soulstrology listeners. Welcome to the forecast for December 26th to January 1st. Oh boy, we are blasting through these holidays, and we're glad you're here. And Bright Hawk is gonna offer us a little bit of music. So I'm Hollis Taylor, and I'm one of your astrologers today. And you can find out more about me at divineandrogen.com.
Hi there, I'm Bright Hawk, and you can find out more about me at brighthawkproductions.com. It's a pleasure to be here and play a little handpan music for our meditation. And
I'm LeKross, and you can find me here when I get here. I don't have a website yet.
You'll get one. We'll get you
there.
one.
I'll get there.
And you have an awesome tarot book that they can order. They can find the link in the description.
And I finished the second part to the 5-part series. I finished the wands, so they can get the Fool's Journey and then Wandering Through the Wands.
Wow. So check the links, friends, and get, stay updated with LeKross. And that way you can get these books as they come out.
For sure.
Get yourself a nice holiday gift. All right, so let's take a moment to take a few deep breaths. Just take a nice deep breath. And imagine yourself cuddled up and completely comfortable in your temperature, yet in the darkness with no threats or any problems, with a beautiful dark sky and the stars twinkling like you'd see lights at the holidays. And on this dark morning, you are completely comfortable in this space and time. And the beautiful sun starts to peek up over the horizon. Just a little bit, just enough to start to make some of the stars disappear behind the sunlight. And as you feel that sun start to light up the sky, you are reminded that our days, instead of getting darker, are getting warmer, like the sun rising in the sky. We all receive a little bit more light, a little bit more warmth, and the sun is the most reliable, amazing part of our universe. And as the sun slowly warms up the sky, and we say goodbye to the darkness, we are ready to embrace the light. Feel the warmth in your bones and in your blood and all over your body. Like when you step out on a sunny day, just feel that sunshine penetrate your skin and raise your vibration just a little bit more. As the sky is full with the sun and the sun begins to warm the earth, we find ourselves in this here and now, grateful for those extra minutes of light. And we welcome back the sun into our world. As you feel that gratitude in your heart for the sunshine and all the beauty it brings, allow that gratitude to just wash over you like sunshine. And be here now and be grateful for the return of the light. Come into your body here and now. Back to our Soulstrology podcast. Wiggle your toes. Just wiggle your fingers a little bit. Take a deep breath. Beautiful. Thank you, Bright Hawk.
Thank you, Hollis.
Welcome back. And I just thought we would honor the light this time because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get tired of it being dark at like 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it's been rough. It's been rough.
Yeah, it's kind of nice when you realize that the sun's on its way back and you're like, well, we get another minute of daylight every day. So that's something that I didn't become aware of until I was an adult. I know that we probably teach our children that, but I don't know. I guess I missed that lesson or something.
I sure felt like I did.
You did?
And it was my birthday. Winter solstice is my birthday, and it never correlated until I moved to Cambridge in Massachusetts. And oh my goodness, winter solstice in Cambridge, it's dark by like 3:45.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy because it's
Oh
so
my
far north,
goodness.
you know? And that blew my mind.
Oh my gosh.
And then I realized, man, I would be praying for the sun to return and the days to get longer if
Right.
I was, living in a cold ice climate,
Yeah.
But growing up in Southern California, there's just not a lot of seasonal awareness.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I grew up in Delaware and I remember it getting dark early sometimes, but I don't remember anyone ever explaining it to me. How about
I
you,
know.
LeKross?
No, I just saw it like getting more dismal and darker every day and more depressing. And as a kid, I'm just like, oh, it's so sad.
Right.
But
Yeah.
nobody ever explained.
I think it's weird. It's kind of funny. And then when I was raising my son, I became aware of it. And so I tried to explain where Christmas came from and Yule and all of that stuff, and what solstice meant. Now, he was very much into the solar system and whatnot, so I think he probably got it pretty early.
That's
So, yeah, I think so. I hope so. Being a pagan kid. All right. So we have a fun week this week coming up. I have taken a little look at it here. Oops. All right. Is it sharing my screen properly? There we go. Maybe. Okay, there we go. And so you can take a look here. I changed our colors to fit the season. I mean to do that every solstice or whatever. And so, I know that we said last week that Christmas Day could be a little challenging, okay? And, I was thinking about these alignments today when I was looking at them. I was like, a grand trine in water the day after Christmas, knowing that Christmas Day could have some emotional challenges. And I don't know about you guys, but if I hang out with like my parents or my siblings, I often had challenging Christmases. So the next day sometimes was like, oh my God, I just need to be away from you people. And one year my mom gave me a Bible for Christmas. Yes, she did. Oh, she wanted to make sure that I knew the message of Jesus Christ.
Oh,
so and I had been a longtime witch at the time, so I was kind of like, really? And
wow.
So I really needed some wind down after that. When I was looking at the astrology for December 26th, I was like, we're going to need that day, okay? You're going to need the December the 26th, and if you're hanging around after Christmas Day wondering what the hell was I supposed to learn from that, you're on the right track, okay? So instead of just making yourself out to be a victim or whatever, and it's easy to do that. I have done that a million times, where like, my mom would try to like, tell me I was evil or something. And then like I would internalize that, right? Because we believe what our parents tell us. So if you're queer out there and you're struggling with family relations, even if you're not queer, I know plenty of not queer people, of cisgender and heterosexual people that definitely struggle with their family. So if you're having that, or the next day for whatever reason you're asking yourself, what was I supposed to learn from that? That's that rectangle. Jupiter in Aries, Pluto in Capricorn, Lilith in Cancers, and Ceres in Libra. Because that's all. Ceres is a representation of mother and mothering. Lilith in Cancer is all about independent feminism, independent female, and independence in general. So even if you're a guy, or more masculine presenting, Lilith still represents your independence. And Pluto in Capricorn is very much about the system and how things work and how things are set up. And Jupiter in Aries is very much, it could be a little on the explosive side. It could feel a little like boom. And so as those come together, since it's a rectangle, it's a mystic rectangle. So what you should always remember about rectangles is that they're destined. They're helping you learn something. So if you just try to remember that one question, what the hell am I supposed to be learning from that? I learned that I needed to not hang out with my family. Okay. And if that's what you need to learn, that might be what you need to learn, right? I had super Christian family that weren't comfortable with my queerness, my witchcraft, or anything else I did. And it was just better for me to be authentic if I moved away from them. And it was the best thing I ever did. Now with that grand trine in water is very much about emotional And so very much about that South Node in Scorpio, which is like where we came from. So South Node is like, maybe we're not supposed to be hanging around with these people anymore. Okay. Like we grew up with them, but you don't have to hang out with them. I promise you, life goes on. There is other people in the world that are happy to be your chosen family that will celebrate you just the way you are. And with a Pallas Athena in Pisces and Lilith in Cancer, they're all three talking together, and that's a grand trine in water. So that's very emotionally healing. So if you ask that question, it's going to come real easy to you. What the hell am I supposed to learn from this? And with that T square, you could get caught up in that T square. You could get caught up in the push and pull of who said what and who did what and who looked at you funny when you said you were trans. Okay. And whatever happened on the day before, just bring it forward. Okay. Just bring it forward and ask that one question, friends, that one question. What am I to learn from this? If you do that, you will engage the good energies in the sky and you will find probably deep emotional healing. Really deep, because the South Node in Scorpio, man, that's all about where you came from, including past lives. Pallas Athena is all about your strategy and your fight in Pisces. So it is a little bit like trudging through water or mud. And Lilith in Cancer is very much about your independence and using your higher thinking for independence, in particular in Cancer. In the part of fortune in Taurus, you should take a look at your house of Taurus, okay? Pay attention to where it is. Is it in the 7th house, which if Taurus is in your 7th house, that's the house of relationships. Or maybe it's in your 4th house of roots, okay? So just take a look, find out where it is. And in that area is the part of your life that you want to focus on for the 26th and the 27th, okay? Part of fortune's only there for 2 days. And if there's anything that needs to be done in that area, those are the days to do it because you'll find more ease with it. What's going on with the moon on that day?
Well, last week was a new moon, so now we're in a waxing phase of a crescent moon, and it's in Aquarius, of course, and we know the moon is happy in Aquarius, idealistic Aquarius, creative Aquarius, tolerant Aquarius, you know. But we also know that sometimes, you know, the Aquarian style can be, shall we say, tactless, sometimes, you know, aloof, sometimes contrary, like a good argument. So the moon is happy in Aquarius and it can be balanced. And that's what we really like. And so the moon is going to be conjuncting Saturn. And so, you know, there's a lot going on there in Aquarius. And yeah.
So you should pay attention to where Aquarius is and just, you know, pay attention because that part of your chart will probably get lit up, whatever house that's in.
And even though Monday is the moon's day, it's a void moon. At the degree it's at is a void moon. So it means that it's less powerful. So there's plenty going on that's going to be getting your attention. And yeah, so a waxing crescent moon.
Great. And LeKross, you tell us if you have something to drop in with.
Well, I wasn't here last week, so I didn't get to let you know that we're going into the goose season.
Oh.
So
when did that start? The
21st. Or
Okay.
no, 22nd. The 22nd. It started the 22nd and it'll run straight through to January 19th. And people think the cold, the winter, what does that have to do with the geese? You know, because they fly south. You know, they go to where it's warm. But it's actually more the personality traits. And I find it funny because you were talking about how aggressive last week was, and that's what geese are known for. They attack and they ask questions later. They don't. They're very protective. You know, everybody's like, oh, the geese. Don't get near it because they will come after you so quick and attack so quick. You won't even, you're running. But what I found interesting is they're one of few animals that can hit 3 elements at once: earth, air, and water.
Ah, sure.
And I think this kind of coincides with today, kind of grabbing all these elements. You got to ground your physical body. You got to work on your mind. You have to work on your emotions, because these are going to be key point on that day. And I find that interesting that the goose really intertwines with this, learn how to adjust all 3 parts of those to get through this season, because we really need our physical, mental, and spiritual health to get through these dark times in the winter. So yeah, that's kind of what stood out to me.
Well said.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe the goose was because, like a lot of people have like a Christmas goose,
Could
right?
be.
A lot of people used to eat a goose.
Yeah, I think that was, well, I don't know. I mean, I know that's a big thing in England.
That's
To
what
have
I'm
the
thinking,
Christmas.
like right out of Dickens.
Yeah, but I don't, maybe it was, I think here it was more like pheasant, or I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I think it might be because they're moving, maybe they're shot early on, and the goose can be, if it's cold, even back then before refrigerators and such, they could keep the goose a little fresh as long as it was cold outside.
Well, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. So, and there was a way that they did that. They would have like little sheds that would keep it away, so that bears and shit don't come and eat your food. Yeah, and I was just thinking about goose, and all I could think about was my son was like 5, and he was maybe as tall, maybe he was 7 or 8, but he was just a little bit taller than the goose. And the goose thought he was a threat.
Oh yeah.
And he got out of the car at this farm, and the goose chased him up into the house and like flew up on the porch and tried to corner him and shit.
Yeah.
Man, that goose did not like him for like the longest time. He was
scary.
And he, of course, developed a fear of geese for a little while.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think he's over it now. I don't know. He has chickens now, so I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him next time. But yeah, they are kind of aggressive little buggers.
Oh yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So now the 27th, a lot of what was happening on the 26th will continue, okay? So a lot of the astrology, so you could have 2 days of recovery from Christmas, okay? And I was looking at it and I was thinking, well, it's kind of the same stuff. And I looked at some of the other more minor aspects, and I noticed all of these had an orb of 0 degrees. So an orb of 0 degrees means it's perfectly right on point. And I also noticed that almost all of them were a blessing. So, with Venus sextiling Juno and Venus sextiling Neptune, those are going to be about love. Those are going to be about beauty. And that's Venus represents love, beauty, relationships. And Juno represents commitment. So don't be surprised if you are falling in love with somebody, maybe because they've supported you through your awful family, right? Or whatever happened for you. You might just be feeling being closer to somebody. You might be feeling a little bit of extra love there. And sextiling Neptune is, we want planets to have sex, okay? And that's how you can remember that aspect, sextile. And so Venus sextiling Neptune is going to be very much about the beauty of our vision, the beauty of even our psychic abilities, or if you're a psychic or anything like that, you could have really beautiful readings on this day. Okay, you could really get that love and that feeling that we feel when you do a psychic reading that's really good for somebody at the end, and they're so grateful, and that sort of not romantic love, it's just kind of like, love and connection, because they got what they needed, and we also feel very validated in our craft. And so that can be a really great experience. The biggest challenge really is the Venus opposition of Pallas Athena. So that tells me to go gentle. Don't go hard on this day. Pallas Athena can be kind of hard and kind of strong, but because Venus has all these other great aspects, I would stay engaged with the softer aspects of Juno and Neptune, which are more sensitive and more energetic, where Pallas Athena is more like Xena warrior princess, okay? Just leave your weapons in the corner for the day, okay? And, Juno is trining Pallas Athena, so this is about commitment and even strength and commitment and sort of feeling like, yeah, I really want to make a commitment with you. And Neptune trining Pallas Athena also, that's also really like visioning, having the vision of commitment and strength. Those are great. These are great things to engage in on that day. And it's just that opposition is really the only challenge. And the part of fortune is still in Taurus, which is a really great, just a good time to engage wherever your Taurus is. And, Neptune conjunct Juno, it's really, again, that's going to engage any commitments or beauty and love or anything like that you're seeing in your mind's eye for the new year. Go ahead and start dreaming about it because you're supposed to be. So Spirit's trying to tell you something. It's that vision.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Is the moon up to something?
Well, Tuesday is Mars Day, and the moon is squaring Mars. Of course, it's still in Pisces. It's entered Pisces, I should say that. And we know that the moon is happy in Pisces because, of course, the moon rules the tides. So I used to always think the moon was ruled by Pisces, but it's not. It's
Neptune.
Neptune rules Pisces. So, but the moon is deep and emotional, and in Pisces, compassionate. There's a lot, like you said, it'd probably be a great day for readings that way. Loving, creative, loyal. You've got that loyal thing going on for sure with Juno. And the one thing about Pisces, the other side, I always try to tell you the spectrum, the range of Pisces is that it can be indecisive, it can get confused, it can, be very vague. They're watery. It's Pisces and is moon in Pisces is water, right? So it can get emotional. If you think something feels overwrought or over emotional, that could be why. If you think something
I'm like,
if you think something is overwrought or
We're back.
You feel overly emotional, that could be a little bit of why. But what I would say when that happens is lean into Capricorn energy, because happy birthday, Capricorns. This is, Capricorn season, and Capricorn is very grounded, very practical, can be very cool. So, there's always a spectrum of things that pull on us depending on what's in our chart. And, this time it's a square with Mars, with the moon, and a sextile with North Node. So again, more of that sextile trine energy, which can be a real blessing. You may not even realize what blessings you have.
Yeah, sometimes you can lose track of them in a trine.
Anything you want to add?
no.
Not yet.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Okay. And okay, so then the next day on the 28th, a stellium. So what's a stellium, Hollis? A stellium is when we have two or more, three or more planets in the same sign or in the same house, okay? And what's happening here is that Neptune, Juno, and the moon in particular are in Pisces, and Jupiter's at 0 degrees Aries, right? It's just barely in Aries. And so Neptune, like I said, is about vision. It also rules psychic abilities. Juno's about commitment. Jupiter is about expansion, and it tends to make anything big. Anything it's near, it tends to make it bigger. And the moon is very much about intuition. So these are great days to do readings. If you're a psychic, these are the days you're going to want to do them. 27th and the 28th, they're looking very good for that kind of thing, because that Pisces energy is going to be very much spiritual and psychic and even kind of open-minded, I think. I think Pisces is a little bit more willing to like accept these newer ideas or especially something like a psychic reading. I find that most of the time if I do a reading for Pisces, they're very receptive. They're very like open to it. Now the rectangle will still be going on from the 26th, but now Mercury's gonna come join it in Capricorn, at least for the moment, because it eventually goes retrograde. But on this day, on the 28th, it will enter Capricorn, which it will sort of take your rectangle. So whatever was going on the 26th that you said, what am I supposed to learn from that? You might actually talk about it with somebody. You might write about it. You might talk about it. You might communicate it somehow. However you communicate it, this is the day you want to do that because Mercury will be there. Although Mercury is in Capricorn, so I would try to engage a little bit more of my sensitivity, my Pisces energy, just in case especially if it's a sensitive topic, just because you might have a tendency to be a little cold and callous about it, because that's Mercury in Capricorn. But maybe you need to be. Maybe you're usually super sensitive and too sensitive, and this is the time that you need to be clear, cold, and callous. And that happens sometimes. We all need that.
Well, Wednesday is Mercury's day, so Mercury is playing a significant role in the sky. You know, Wednesday's Mercury's day, so we it's not surprising to me to see the significance that it's playing in that rectangle. And of course, Mercury rules communication. So all of the things you just said, spot on. It's really great to see it when it's so clear. It's how I've been learning astrology for sure. There are certain times where it's so clear.
And just go slow. You know, if you're a Virgo or a Gemini, just be aware that Mercury rules and rules you. It rules your sun sign. It rules where you shine your light and how you go forward in things. So you might start stumbling over your words at this point. This is like the day before it goes retrograde. Now the part of fortune is in Gemini. So if you're a Gemini, it could be a little bit easier because you could, those areas of your life could get clearer wherever Gemini is in your chart. But if you're a Virgo, you're probably going to be like, tripping over your words, speaking stuff backwards, and, and it just, when I know Mercury's in retrograde, first of all, if I do stumble over my words, I apologize for it just right away. I'm like, I'm sorry, Mercury's in retrograde and I talk funny sometimes when that's happening. I'm not being clear. Give me just a moment. And then I just take a few deep breaths and then I try to clarify. And then sometimes it's not that simple. Sometimes I stumble over things, get frustrated with myself. It usually depends on what sign it's in. So I'm just going to say that Mercury in retrograde, it's coming. It's not always bad. Hopefully you got our warning last week and started to back up all your computers. Don't do it on this day. Okay, hopefully you've already done it. Okay, and if you're listening to this early enough, you could do it on the 26th, but you're getting kind of late there. Okay, and so if you can hold out on communication until Mercury is in its retrograde, you're sometimes better off, because it seems to bother us the most when it's going in and coming out. And okay, so yeah. So that's the time it seems to bug us the most.
Yeah, that'd be some real good time to use that goose energy, where when geese fly, they fly in a set formation, and the minute that one gets out of that V, you were talking about stumbling, geese are very quick to adjust to go right back in sync with the rest of them. So that'd be a good time to put that in perspective. Because if you happen to fall out of line and you're flying or you're going and you stumble, it's not a big deal. Just get right back in and it'll go smooth sailing, as long as you're just, catching yourself and adjusting.
Yeah, maybe put a cute little goose on your altar.
Love it.
and say, I will fly back in line.
I'll get there.
Yep.
Yeah, especially Virgos and Geminis. Now, this is when officially the 29th, Mercury goes retrograde.
If there's an intense day of the week, this is going to be it.
The interesting thing about this day, as I was looking at my chart, is that Mercury and Venus are like this with each other, and then so they're like this, and then on this day they do this, so they kind of cross each other's path. Okay, and when Mercury does that in retrograde with Venus, just be a little bit more careful about what you say to the people you love. Maybe go it a little gentler, maybe go a little slower, or just choose not to say anything for a couple of days until you really feel like you have to, or, you know, whatever your strategy is. Mercury and Venus rules love, beauty, and relationships, okay? And Mercury rules communication, okay? And Mercury's going to go retrograde. Okay, and this happens a couple times a year, but it doesn't always dance with Venus when it's doing that. And since it's in Capricorn, it makes me feel like it's going to be kind of cold and callous. And so you might say something kind of rude to your partner. You don't want to do that just a couple of days before the new year, or ever, really. It's just not worth it. And so I would just say, sometimes I just want to take a piece of tape, put it on my mouth around Mercury retrograde. Can't always do that, but sometimes you can. Now, the stellium in Pisces and on the 0 degree Aries, really, Aries Chiron is going to join the party of that. It's going to be within orb of this stellium. And all of these things are kind of collecting around the same area. So you want to look at where your Pisces and Aries meet in your chart. Do they meet within a house or right at a house? Might depend on what house system you're using. But a stellium just means that you're going to have several planets, and now Chiron's joining the party, which is pretty much about your wounded healer, okay? And you can read the story of Chiron pretty easily online. Chiron represents the part of us that's usually wounded, that we bring forth some sort of healer, okay? Now, the oppositions, that's going to feel like somebody is pulling on each side of you from opposite sides. So you could even feel very divided or separated or pulled in two directions, especially around love, relationships, and even your independence and the system and how things work. Okay, and so if you're feeling that push-pull of relationships and the system or independence or something like that, just know that it's that opposition, and ask yourself some good questions, because Venus is now going to join that rectangle. So ask yourself some good questions, like, just because I'm frustrated today, am I always frustrated, or is this just a temporary feeling? Because with relationships, especially long-term relationships, you could find yourself sometimes a little bit frustrated for like a couple of days, but then you go back to being in love with them. So was it really worth getting caught up in the shitty feeling for a couple of days? Sometimes I just let the shitty feeling pass. I just don't think it's worth engaging, especially if 90% of the time I'm feeling in love. Now, there have been some toxic relationships where 90% of the time I feel like frustrated, and 10% of the time I feel like I'm in love. Or in the toxic times, I sometimes feel like I'm always trying to make love happen. And that can feel very frustrating, and that's a sign that you're in a toxic relationship. So depending on where you are, you may start becoming aware of that on this day, the 29th, with the Venus joining that rectangle. It could be trying to point out a relationship to you that's not very healthy. And, you know, just ask yourself some good questions, okay? And sometimes it's even really helpful, if you're not sure, to make a list of all the good things and the not so good things. And see which list is longer. And usually that is a really good indicator of if the relationship's worth keeping. Now, the part of fortune is in Gemini, so you should pay attention to wherever Gemini is in your chart. If it's in the 8th house, you might be finding some shadow pieces coming to an end, especially since Mars has been dancing around in there. And you might, if it's in your 10th house, you might find something about career that needs to be wrapped up. Or in your 12th house, it may be something you don't even know about and you haven't even noticed, but someone pointed out to you. So if there's something like you didn't even think about yourself and someone else pointed it out, that's 12th house energy. Okay. So take a look at that. And so if the part of fortune, when the part of fortune is in that part of your chart, then those are the areas that you want to focus on, that you want to try to wrap up any energy that's going on in that house.
Well, on Thursday is Jupiter's day, and so it's interesting that there's so much energy around Jupiter, the moon, Juno, that tight amount of conjunct energy. And really, when the moon is in Aries, it's a nervous temperament. When the moon is in Aries, you have the emotional depth of the moon meets the fiery energy of Aries. Aries is very energetic, it's very enterprising, optimistic, open to change, idealistic, but they can also be like ready, go, and then aim, and not necessarily finish projects and be very impulsive and opinionated. And, there's a range in Aries that, sometimes Aries can be very domineering and impatient and vain. But they're also very enterprising and they're very energetic, and their fiery nature is a challenge for the moon. And so the moon is, it's a nervous temperament. That's what I'm going to come back to when we're thinking about it. And you've already talked about all that conjunct energy, especially with Chiron there, opportunities. So, yeah, that's the 29th.
Okay.
Definitely.
It gets better. It gets easier, maybe. The 30th seems a little easier to me. The 30th is Friday. Friday is Venus's day, and Venus is in a conversation.
Yeah, Venus is doing this T-square, the Venus in Capricorn with the moon, Pallas Athena, and Mercury. So, this is going to be a little bit of challenge, but it may also have something to do with that Mercury going retrograde, because now Mercury's full retrograde, headed backwards. It leaves the rectangle. So any communication that you had to do about your destiny or about things that absolutely had to be done in your life, you've lost the windows. Please don't try anymore because Mercury is in full retrograde. Now it's time to review and edit things. If you find yourself revisiting something that you did in the past, if you find yourself like revisiting some contracts or anything like that, that's Mercury in retrograde. That's a great thing to engage in, especially if you're reviewing or editing something, okay? If you wrote a book, edit it now. This is a great time. And with that part of fortune in Cancer, if you have some stuff around your home, this is a great day to clean up. Regardless of where Cancer is in your chart, of course, it could affect those areas, whatever house it's in, but Cancer rules our home. And so, so if you have some, oh my gosh, I really have to get rid of these clothes, especially now that I got 3 new shirts for gifts. I don't need any more shirts. I need to get rid of these. Okay, this is a great time to clean up and get rid of things that you don't want anymore. Okay, and I think you said what you had to say.
Yep.
Okay.
Saturday, Saturn's Day.
And on the 31st,
the only last thing I would say, I forgot to say, it was a first quarter moon on the 29th. I know we've passed it. Oops.
Okay.
But the moon continues to wax, right, towards the full moon. So here we go.
So it's going towards the full moon.
Yep.
So should we be working on letting things go or manifesting
You
things?
should have done your new moon ritual to set your intentions for this month, and that was last week. And even if you didn't get to it till the beginning of this week, do it. What do you want to have in, what intentions do you have for this time, this moon, this next 30 days? So this is the building energy, right? And then there's the releasing energy. So we're still building towards the new moon.
Okay. Now, the T-square that involves the moon in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn, Lilith in Cancer, and Venus in Capricorn. Again, you're noticing Venus and Pluto are conjunct, right?
Yeah.
So if you're noticing your system of love needing to be changed or your system of beauty, yeah, be paying attention to that. I wouldn't necessarily, just because of the Capricorn feel, I wouldn't necessarily throw out something you used to love or something like that, because this energy could change when Venus gets out of Capricorn, and then you may regret it. Okay. And
fair enough.
Not that I'm big on style or anything like that, but some of us do have some favorite outfits or whatever. And I just told you to clean up yesterday, and now I'm thinking today, on this day, just be careful about what you give away, because the part of fortune is still in Cancer. So it is still a good time to clean up, get your house ready, clean your house and prepare it, especially like just wiping things down, wiping down the baseboards or getting the cobwebs out of the corner or whatever. It will just make your house feel a little bit cleaner and a little bit more fresh. And so that could be really good energy on this day.
For sure. And of course, the moon is in Taurus, and so the moon is exalted in Taurus. It's super happy in Taurus. It loves being in Taurus. And Taurus loves the fine things. Maybe you're switching over styles from Christmas to New Year's Eve, and now you're having fun decorating, or what are the fine things that you enjoy? Because Taurus loves artistic, warm, beautiful. Taurus is trustworthy. It's determined, of course. Artistic. I think I said that already. And then of course, the other side of Taurus is that obstinance. It's a bull, right? So it can be, rigid and, overly cautious and stuff like that. So moon in Taurus, super happy. And, I would be asking yourself, what makes me happy? What lights me up? What makes me feel good? You know what? I'm going to paint this room because I don't like this color. This is what makes me happy. Whatever it is. I don't know where that example came from.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. Okay. So we already talked about the square involving Pluto and Venus and Mercury, and the moon. So yeah, you got it all right there. Woo, and finale, Happy New Year.
So by the time we get to New Year's Day, somewhere over in the middle of the night, all of these planets are gonna have a little party in Taurus. So I'm wanting you to do things that are luxurious, that really feed you, because the North Node is there. So this could be really good time to feed your soul, your favorite thing. The True Node and the North Node are pretty much the same thing. But Uranus in Taurus also is there. So, get your freak on, okay? Go to a drag party, have fun on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Just try to give yourself all the beautiful things that you love or need, sort of like what Bright Hawk just said. And with that rectangle still going on, this is how you feed your soul. So start to recognize, just say to yourself, what does make me feel good? Sort of like what Bright Hawk said. So New Year's Eve, New Year's Day have a very similar energy. And since we have more than one thing pointing to that, it's pretty much saying, take that time to really feed your soul, especially with all that Taurus energy.
Yeah, for sure. And that's your week. I know there's some intensity in it, but there's also some good stuff too. And hopefully when you know how to the weather report, you know how to surf it. And Yeah.
All right. Did you have anything to add, LeKross?
Oh, I was just gonna say, if anything, at this point in time, just like hone back into that energy of flight, and just fly, use your head, like really pamper yourself, focus on all three parts of yourself, focus on your mind, focus on your soul, focus on your body,
I
you
like
know.
that.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Nice. Yeah. That's and I was just thinking of like the goose. I was like, is there a zodiac that has the goose in it? But I don't think there is. But if I was to pick one, I would have to say it would probably be Taurus.
Mm.
There is a constellation that is a goose,
Oh yeah?
or maybe it's a swan.
I think
Oh,
it's, yeah, I have heard of one.
Mm-hmm.
I
okay.
have heard of
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, I'm going to do a little reading
Yeah.
here, a little card pull for everybody. Please, for the whole reading, for this whole astrology forecast, please tell us what you love. Tell us down in the comments, just add your comments, or give us any feedback about what you want to hear more about or anything like that. Hopefully, we will be able to get a new year prediction for the year. A forecast for the year, because I know that you guys are probably wanting that. So don't worry too much about 2023. I would say that there is going to be definitely some changes and some shifts. Some of them could actually be better. So we'll get into that at some point in the future. And so you can watch out for that. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. But I'm going to pull 3 cards. Please take what you like and leave the rest. Please pay attention to what resonates for you. If it doesn't resonate, just let it go. Okay. Now this first card, let me pin this so you guys can see this a little bit better. Okay. Oh my gosh. Backwards. Okay. Okay. So the 6 of Cups is very much about emotional, but it is the energy we were just talking about. That energy of being in Taurus where you get like all the things you want, right? Having all the beautiful things that make you feel good, like ice cream, right? Okay. So, so that's exactly what this is. And rainbow ice cream at that is my favorite kind. And so this is very much about sort of being a child and taking care of your younger self. And so this is a reminder of, hey, what is it that you really love? What is it that feeds your soul? Pay attention to what that is. And pay attention also that the light is coming back. See how the sun is full in the sky? That's a reminder that the light is coming back to us. And I know it's been dark, my friends. I know it's been dark, but we made it, okay? We made it. You made it this far, and now each day gets one day lighter, okay? Now this next card could represent someone in your life, especially someone that's very black and white, someone that's very left or right. Like they don't have a whole lot of gray area, but this energy could also be to remind you of that part of you that tends to maybe be oversimplify things. And it doesn't always have to be toxic. Sometimes black and white can be very simple or simplicity, but at times that can lead us the wrong way because there's a lot of gray in life. Just there is. And so this is also a reminder of that, but also to reminder of our inner badass. Okay. So that's exactly what this is about. And in our engagements over the holidays, because we're kind of transitioning in this week between Christmas and New Year's, this will pretty much, hold that energy. So if you are dealing with somebody like this, just remember they get to be who they want to be. And it doesn't mean you have to have them in your life if they don't make you feel good. Okay. And as you're heading into the future, this right here is a card about illusions and visions. This is the 9 of Swords. And if you take a look at this card, like the person's barely there. They're kind of invisible. They're more like a vision. They're more like and this is about a dream state. And this is about making that dream state come into reality. So starting to vision what you want your next year to be, that's what this is all about. This is pay attention to how you're going to manifest your vision. Bring that vision that you see into reality, make it happen. How is it going to happen? And start seeing it as done, because that's how we manifest things, friends. That's how you do it, is you just start seeing it as done, and then bam, it will happen. I promise. It's worked for me a million times. Now, the interesting thing is that in the past, we know what feeds our soul, and feeding your soul is very important. Okay, friends? It's very important, especially if you want to manifest anything. And, going forward, pay attention to who's around you. Pay attention to who's super black and white, or even if there's a part of you that's like that you can identify here with this King of Wands, bring through the parts that are crystal clear, that you know for sure, because that's also what the King of Wands is. What do you know for sure? And those things are meant to help you actually manifest your vision, make your vision come true. That's exactly what this is all about, making your vision come true. So friends, I hope that this reading has helped you. I hope that today's forecast has helped you. And I hope that you have a beautiful New Year's and a happy holiday. We appreciate you, listeners. I'm going to try to turn this off. We appreciate you. And thank you, Bright Hawk, for all your moon magic and your music. And thank you, LeKross, for more moon magic and interesting animal. I love the animal totems that are coming through. I think that's so awesome.
Well, thank you. Again, it's nice to see everything coinciding with the animals. It's really neat to see them connect the way they're doing, because it's helping me learn more. And I'm like, oh, wait.
That's
cool.
great.
Yeah, and I just keep thinking about this time being the goose time, and it's so appropriate. Just
oh yeah.
And then all I can think of is the Christmas goose in that movie, that old-fashioned movie. So yeah.
Yeah.
Many thanks. Hope
Yep.
this helps you surf your week.
Yep.
All right, friends.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye and Happy New Year.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soulstrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.